Yeah.
I've been on my grind just to live it out. Say what's on your mind just to hear it loud. Everybody knows me, really that's the old me. Going through some changes right here and now. I've been on my grind just to live it out. Say what's on your mind just to hear it loud. Everybody knows me, really that's the old me. Going through some changes right here and now. I've been on my grind just
All right, and we are back with another episode of the Dope Individuals Only podcast. I'm Eric. I'm up here with another dope individual. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Raul Gonzalez Sr.
Hey, this is the OG.
Yeah.
You the OG, yeah.
Yes, sir. I've been around a little bit.
Yeah, this is my godfather's father. You know, he's been very influential in my life as well. He got a great story. You know what I mean? So that's why you're up here. That's why you're up
right?
here.
Well,
yeah.
we have several stories. You know, there's
Hold on. Don't get ahead of yourself.
there used to be I used to watch Chinese movies a lot when I was younger. You know,
Oh, like kung fu movies.
All these kung fu movies. You watch an episode and you think you know karate. You start doing drop kicks and everything.
You hurt yourself, huh?
Yeah. And one of the biggest things that they see is that the older you are, they used to call the old folks the wise man. And I never knew why, but I'm starting to understand why. There's a lot of knowledge in that brain of theirs.
There's a lot of years, you know, a lot of shit that you done seen, you experienced and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to jump the gun. We're going to get into all that. I promise you.
Yeah.
I want you to tell the people who you are, what you do. You know what I mean? Give them a little bit of insight to who Raul is as a man and as a person. So, you know what I mean? Who are you? What do you do?
Well, I try to consider myself a family man, first of all. Right?
Okay.
And I have 2 generations of children. And the reason I call them generations is because I have a 45-year-old son and I got a 19-year-old daughter.
Oh, yes. My man's wild. You a wild boy.
You know, and I love it. It's a blessing in disguise, you know, because kids are special, and that's the best I can say about them. Kids are special. They're special.
I bet like it was weird starting all over, like after like a 20-something year gap. I mean, what were you thinking? Because you're talking about Samantha, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like 20-some years go by and it's like, hey, I'm pregnant.
Well, you know, you're with a woman for a while, you know, and let me back up a little bit. It's not the mother of my first children. Mm-hmm. You know, you meet, you know, things happen in life, you know, you meet other people. And all of a sudden, one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden you're together 2 or 3 years and you don't think anybody can get pregnant. And before you know it, pop goes the weasel.
Pop goes. Were you like shit? I gotta start all over again.
No, I was pretty excited because the difference is that on my first generation of kids, I was not secure at all.
Okay.
I did everything backwards. I had kids first and then got my education right. You know, and so I was living check by check. You know, and I wasn't as comfortable as I am today. And so when she told me that she was pregnant, I said, what are you going to do? I said, are we going to keep them? Because if we keep them, it's important for both parents to be together because they have more stability in life.
I respect that. When you were growing up, did you have your dad?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just mom?
Mom, I'm the youngest of 5.
Ooh, you got beat up on all the time. He was a human punching bag.
Yeah, the facts are that I could literally say that I saw stars. Yeah. That's how bright it got.
So what was the upbringing like? Like, you know, where'd you grow up at? I know you just said that you didn't have your dad, it was just mom. Yeah. So what was overall, like, what was the upbringing like?
Well, you know, we've come from pretty much poverty, hardship of poverty, because what ended up happening is my mother has a first grade education, and I'm the youngest of 5, right? And my dad, at the time, he was a businessman. He had a grocery store, so he had a grocery store in Puerto Rico. And by the way, I'm from Puerto Rico.
Okay, represent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I had to be 40 days old to be accepted on the plane at the time. So all my brothers with my father came to New York City. They moved to Brooklyn.
Ooh.
And when I was 40 days old.
What year is this?
1959.
19. Okay, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, so
Damn, Raul, you old.
I try to make that clear when you was taking my mugshot. You know, one side looks older than the other. and that goes back to the days that I seen the stars. You know?
Okay, so 1959.
Yeah,
that's when you get here.
That's when I came to New York
States.
To the States. Yeah, you know. So I'm Puerto Rican, and I don't like to use the term Puerto Rican. I like to use Puerto Riqueño because I'm a proud man. So,
and you speak it too, correct? You speak fluent
I do.
Spanish.
I speak fluent Spanish.
I'm trying to get back into learning the language. I'm tired of being a Rodriguez who don't speak it. But it's tough, man. It's a tough language.
It is, and if you're not, you're around it a lot now. So
Diana is lazy. Diana do not speak Spanish in this house.
Yeah, but
except when she's yelling.
you're around me. I speak a lot of Spanish. You know, Raul's starting to speak more Spanish.
Yeah,
Raul Jr., by the way.
I've noticed that.
And
Raul's.
that's because in our line of business, we work with, we don't discriminate in money. Money is green to us, and of course, you know, when you're a growing business, you do work wherever and whenever and whatever it takes.
Yeah, you got to keep things afloat.
And right now, because the Spanish population in the Lehigh Valley is very strong, most of our customers are Hispanics.
Yes.
Whether they're Dominican, Puerto Rican, Colombian, etc. So I was pushing myself. I had to push myself to get better at that language because I used to speak Spanglish for the longest time. And now I consider myself pretty fluent in it, and I speak much better than what I did 20 years ago.
That's what's up. To want to set out a goal and then accomplish it, you know what I mean? You got plenty of practice. Like you said, Allentown is like 60, 70% Hispanic. Yeah, it's nuts. And I always find it crazy, like it other than just seeing the normal like population, like when you go into businesses, you go into schools, you go into office buildings, you don't really see the amount of Hispanics that are represented here in the actual city of Allentown.
Correct.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? That's big that you do that and you accomplish what you set out to accomplish. But I want to get back. So New York City, what was it like growing up in New York City in the 1960s? Because New York City has like some of the like most restrictive laws. You know, what was it like that back then?
Well, as far as the laws were concerned, I can't say too much about it because I was just a young lad. And my brothers, you know, of course, you know, you're the baby of the family, so you play father the leader. You know, my mom, she worked a little bit. She always tried to work, even though she was on welfare, trying to provide for 5 kids and pay the rent and meet all ends meet.
Big shout out to the moms out there doing everything they can.
Yes, 100%. So I got to try to keep my train of thought, you know, when I was trying to say it here. So what ended up happening is that as far as the laws was concerned, we didn't know much about it. But you have the neighborhood laws.
Okay.
That when you go outside, a lot of times to get back into your building, there was a bunch of maybe 4 or 5, maybe 10 people in the front stool. And sometimes they didn't make it easy for you to get through.
You couldn't get in your own house?
Well, in the same building, you know, in the building.
They checking IDs or something?
No, they want to beat you up.
They want to beat your ass? Just to get inside somewhere you live? Like, I'm just trying to get
and then we just playing, you know, they try to make tough kids out of us young kids, you know, and
Well, was this problematic? Like, was this something that was just in that one neighborhood that you moved into, or was this like throughout like your childhood living in New York?
I think it was routine, especially in the projects. The projects were a little tough, you know. And but anyway, you know, we did what we had to do, and life went on. And by me being the youngest of 5, I always had my mentors, which was my older brother Felix. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to be like Felix.
I met Felix a couple weeks ago.
And I always wanted to be like Felix, you know? Until a certain point, and I realized I didn't want to be like him.
It's like wait, why'd that change, though?
Well, what ended up happening, I wanted to better myself, and I saw that we was stuck because the government, they spoil us. They give you welfare, they give you Medicaid, you know, free insurance, they make your life easy.
Yeah.
And you're lucky if you even have to pay rent. Who the hell wants to work?
Yeah,
After
yeah.
all that, so you get stuck, say, so it's the government fault why we, it took a long time for the Puerto Ricans to better themselves. You always had the smarter ones, but then you didn't.
I think it's still a problem. I think they also, I think the government did a great job of taking the man out of the house. Because you can get all those things. You can get food stamps, you can get housing, all this stuff, Medicare. But like a lot of those things are contingent upon only having one income in the house.
Yeah, now they make it a little difficult.
Okay.
Before it was easy. Oh my goodness, it was so easy. All you gotta do is say you're paying rent and show proof that you're paying rent. And you're 19 years old, healthy as can be, and now the government's starting to take care of you. And it becomes addicting. This is my opinion, by the way. Is addicting because the government spoils you. So who wants to better themselves?
Nobody.
So getting back to me as the youngest of the family, that I was following Felix because my other brothers, they were always with their girlfriends trying to get away from me because I was a burden, and it got to the point that I saw that I wanted to make myself better. I didn't want to be like them. I wanted to educate myself and to getting back to that education, the last grade I completed was 8th grade. I graduated from 8th grade, never had no high school.
You didn't go to high school?
No, because I
Wow.
used to live in Chicago at the time, and that was another story.
Oh, so listen, I want to hear about that one too. I want to hear about that one because I know about some of the childhood stories, but not everybody does. You know what I mean? And what was it? It was the first time I had brought this up coming onto the podcast was maybe like 4 or 5 months ago now, and I remember you telling me about like you were telling me a couple stories of growing up as a teen in New York,
Nice.
and I was like, yo, this is some incredible shit. I was like, this shit sounds complicated as hell. Like, I'm sitting here thinking about like my teen years and like what I had to endure. It didn't sound anything like yours, and I felt like there was a lot of wisdom and knowledge you could pass on through just telling your story. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to hear about Chicago, and how that was like. So wait, when did you leave New York to go to Chicago?
Well, it's easy for me to remember the year that I left New York City because two things happened. Man landed on the moon, and the New York Mets won the World Series. The amazing
Was that the last
Mets.
time?
No, I went
No?
back. I
Oh,
went
they
back
were-
to New York. But,
No,
but
I'm
that's
talking
when we
about
went to Chicago.
Okay.
No, they got the series. They won the World Series several times.
Oh,
after
okay.
that.
All right.
And yes, I am a Met fan. I'm not a Yankee fan. I'm one of the few New Yorkers that are Met fan. And I can name most of the baseball players that won the amazing Mets World Series.
Oh.
We could start with Don Clendenin.
He's
Cleon
flexing right
Jones,
now.
and
You flexing right now.
and it goes on and it goes on and on. And I'm honored to be able, and I feel happy that I can remember these things. So now that's the year we moved to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
69.
69.
Yeah, you guys can Google that, see if I'm right, if the Mets won the World Series that year, and if man landed on the moon.
That's what you were basing it off, right? Man landing on the moon. Yeah.
And then my mom, right, she lucked out because we used to play the lottery back then, and it was illegal. We used to call it the billete.
Billete.
It was illegal. You had the number cats in the street.
Okay.
You pay $1 for, and you win 600, but they only pay you 500 because they stay with 100.
Okay. Just for taking the book. The
For just
bookings.
taking for the bookings of your numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is before it was the daily number. It was the bolita.
Y'all had your own, like in the hood.
Don't you
That's
know?
kind of fire.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna hold you. That's kind of fire.
So my mother hit that like 3 times. So in '69, $500. It was a crazy amount of money.
Y'all was living fat for a couple days.
Oh yeah, she was living good. We were living good. Yeah, we was living real good. Well, she was anyway. God bless her because for the way she grew up, she deserved every bit of that.
That's what's up.
So now we moved to Chicago, right? Mm-hmm. And Chicago, the difference that I knew from Chicago and in New York City, that New York City, there were gangs, but not many gangs. It was the block. I'm from this block.
Okay, so
I'm
just
from
like
that block.
neighborhood kind of things.
Now in Chicago, you have gangs, a lot of gangs. Everybody wanted to be like Al Capone. You had the Latin kings, the Latin disciples, the Spanish lords, the warlords, the PVPs, those are Polak venture playboys, and the list goes on and on.
That shit sounds annoying.
So now, I went to Von Humboldt Middle School. It wasn't called middle school back then. It was called junior high. When you was in 8th grade, yeah, I'm a junior high.
We were just talking about this the other day with JC on.
You know, there was no middle school back then. You know, and that's when that happened that I couldn't go to high school anymore because as I mentioned, the gangs up there, you know, and I mind you, I'm just a young kid, 11, 12 years old now, because I was there now several years now. Maybe 3 years went by. And, you know, and now it's only my mother and my sister and I and my brother Felix that I looked up to him all the time. You know, he was my mentor, you know. They tricked him into going back to New York City with some bicycles. They said, "Oh, we got a bike for you," because he was a badass over there.
Like motorcycles?
No,
like actual bikes?
A pedal bike, a pedal bike. And yeah. So now, you know, I'm living in Chicago, and I was always hungry because getting back to, I want to talk about New York a little bit because the poverty was so bad that when I would walk from school, I went to PS, that's public school, PS 116. Okay. And that was across the street from Grove and Knickerbocker. I don't know how I can remember these things at the age that I am now, but that's amazing.
Impressive because I'm only 28, and I'd be like, "Shit, what did I do last week?"
So when I would walk home from school, I would stop at the supermarket, not supermarkets, they would get grocery stores, a bunch of them. Yeah, like 20 of them by the time I got home, right?
They're still everywhere, too.
Yeah, so I would walk in there and I would ask for if they have any work, you know, stocking shelves and stuff like that. And don't you know that one of them gave me work? And when it was time to get paid, and he went to pay me, I said, no, I don't want no money. I want eggs. I want bread. I want milk. I want some groceries to take home.
Right. I
kid you not. I must have been like 8 years old, and I walk into my mother opens the door. It was either my mother or my sister, and there I go, a little ass kid with myself with two bags of groceries walking in the house.
Did she think you stole them?
No, she didn't, because she knew that I had a job.
Oh, okay.
I guess she didn't know. I don't know if she knew it or she figured it out, or I said something that I refused to take any money. I just wanted to get paid with food.
No, I respect that. Like what you were doing at a really young age, you were like lessening the burden. You know what I mean? Yeah. Regardless of whether that's what you realized you were doing, that's what you were doing.
Well, I guess knew that food was few in between. Yeah. It was good for the first 15 days. Yeah. 15 days later, boy, you're like,
you got to figure out how to get to the end of the month. Yeah. I remember that all too well.
So now let's get back to Chicago, because in Chicago, I still had the work habits and I wanted to work, and now I'm 12 and 13, I think. I don't remember the exact age. I'm still a young kid. I don't have working papers, right? So there was this guy that I knew that he worked for a wrecking company, you know, and it's called Hennigan's Wrecking in Chicago, Illinois.
Like crush cars and shit like that?
No, they knock buildings down.
Oh,
a big company, right?
Yeah, that sounds fun.
So I had finagled the system, right? Because I needed to be 16 years old to work for them, and I needed a Social Security card. So what I did, I filled out the application. It was easier to get a Social Security card back then, right?
Yeah, this is before the internet.
Yeah. So I went over to the Social Security office and I filled out the application, and I was one number short, and I wanted to call myself my middle name, Antonio. So I called myself Antonio Rodriguez, right? And Antonio Luis Rodriguez, right? And when I went to go spell Antonio, it came out Antonino.
Because
I didn't even know how to spell Antonio. So I was Antonino.
You can't even lie right.
No, you can't make this shit up that I'm telling you. You can't make this up. No way, right? So now I'm working for this company, and everybody's looking at me. He said, "How old is this kid?" You know, and the guy that I was there, he was a relative of mine that got me the job there. He said, "No, he's over the age. He's good enough. You know, he's good. He's, you know, I forget all the exact pointers, but I was 16 years old.
Yeah,
so I could work with this company, right? So now school starts again. You know, you come back home, and you know, and I like working. That's how you have to do what you got to do to make money. You know, and whatever's available, you have to do what you got to do.
You had a hustler's mentality at a very young age.
Yeah.
At a very young age, and then to see like you still get down there, and like when you walked in, you talking about, you know, I got who'd you say, Chris over there, you got a Wasik over there,
Correct.
and you're still showing them the ropes. You know what I mean? Like that's huge because you've been at the grind for all your life.
All my
you know
life,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And now you're getting to a point where like you don't necessarily have to do these things, but you still do these things because you enjoy doing these things.
I do it because I do enjoy it, and it's part of the dream. Still trying to make it work, you know, because you know you set your goals, and when you first start your own business, it's always shaky grounds. There's no solid slab there, you know, that can go south either at any moment. You know? So you gotta work extra hard to keep it afloat and keep it going, and then you get to a point that you could hire people to help you out. And a lot of people that either know the business, they want crazy money, and then you have the other person that want to work their behinds off and don't know nothing. So I'd rather take that over skills sometimes, because if he's got a good attitude and he's willing to learn, then I'm willing to take my time to teach him.
Yeah.
You know,
and then you can mold them into who you want them to be as an employee for you, opposed to just having a guy. Yeah, I know the ropes, but how the last guy ran his business ain't nothing how I run mine. And the things that he may have deemed acceptable might not be okay over here.
No, and then some of these guys that know too much, is exactly what happens. They know too much, and all of a sudden you see things that they're working a little dangerous, unsafe, and when you're trying to bring it to their attention, they want to beat you up because it's my first rodeo.
Yeah, they feel disrespected about it.
Young man, I got some different words for you right about now.
I went on a couple jobs with Raul when I was younger, and Raul opens up these boxes. He takes a panel off, and he's like, I don't know how this shit passed. And he's just like looking at the box like, I didn't come ready for this. He starts scratching his head and shit. And I'm like, oh, he's panicking. He's unraveling. Like,
I said, yeah, it's going to be a long day at the office. And it was a long day,
and
too.
Then when he starts scratching his head, I'm like, oh, man, he's ill-prepared. And he knows
I remember that time well, right? That was a job in Reading.
You talking about?
To Reading. We went to Sinking Springs, right? And so now we're a long way from Allentown, so we try to go as prepared as we can. And when you look at a job, sometimes you don't look at it thoroughly. And when you get into it, you say, holy frickle frack fro, this is going to be a long day. And you start contemplating how you're going to make it as effective as you can, knowing it's going to be a long day, knowing you got to go to Home Depot or whatever, 2 or 3 times till you get it right.
Till you get all the shit you need. Well, I believe that was the day we went to Hooters after. I think
did we go to Hooters?
I believe it was Hooters. I'm pretty sure.
You guys might have talked me into that. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with Hooters.
Raul took me in there for the first time at like 14, 15 years old. I'm sitting there, I'm like, God,
what's going on here?
Yeah.
Are those real?
I'm like, forget the wings, bro. I came for the show.
That's funny.
Yes. I had some good times. Like, I always hated doing the work because you guys have a very tedious job. And then not only that, it's very dangerous. So I never liked the work, but like always being on the job with you guys, it was always cool to learn from you guys. So, I'm appreciative of that. And then I handle now I know how to like do all the lights in my house, all the receptacles. And I don't need to call you guys for shit like that.
We're too expensive anyway.
Yeah, I can handle it myself. Worst case scenario, I got YouTube.
It just freshens you up. You know, say, oh, now I know where that wire goes.
YouTube. Okay, so you were finishing up on your story about Chicago.
Right, so that was talking about my ID, Antonino Rodriguez.
Yeah, Antonino.
Let's make that clear. I didn't know how to spell Antonio. I was pretty dumb when it came to mathematics and reading. But it is what it is. When you don't have people pushing you to go to school, you feel like you don't need to go to school. Yeah. And when you do go to school, you're really not there.
You worried about your brain is preoccupied with other stuff.
So now. Some episodes happen in Chicago. I know I had said that I never went to high school, but I did. I went to high school for about a week. And this high school was called Roberto Clemente High School in Chicago, Illinois. Okay. It was a brand new school. So what they did is they took all the high schools from the neighborhood, turned them into either elementary schools, and so all those high school students, they put them all in one school. So this school is 8 stories. And now you got people in the yard wearing their yellow and black, their black and red, their purple and red, and black, whatever.
Yeah, we're not talking about neighborhoods no more.
All their gang colors are in
this one area.
In the schoolyard.
Yeah.
And,
should look like prison.
Yeah, a lot of episodes. And now this school didn't have a principal. It had assistant principals, two of them, right? And one of them was Miss Figueroa, I believe her name was, and the other one was named Alberto Smith or something like that, some white name, right? I'm not prejudiced in any way, but what ended up happening, they made the white man into the president and
Into the
principal, and all hell broke loose because they felt that it's a Spanish school, Roberto Clemente. They felt that they should have had a Spanish
some
principal.
representation.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! It's like everybody united there, and before you know it, the National Guards were there.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It got ugly. It got bad.
So wait, so is that like one of your craziest experiences? Like
that was a pretty intense experience, you know.
What was your takeaway of it all?
Well,
You know,
I was so young and I couldn't really grasp the whole. At the time, I really didn't understand why the riot got so bad at the time. But now I stop and think about it, you know, and I guess it doesn't give them the right. It doesn't give anybody the right, you know, to protest unpeacefully. But you're a kid, and there's a bunch of kids there, you know, and there's a bunch of kids with attitudes. So
very little guidance. So anything is liable to happen at that point.
Oh yeah, it was like pins and needles.
So what's the craziest experience from your childhood, and what did it teach you?
Well, my childhood experience was there's getting back to that Roberto Clemente High School in the neighborhoods that I lived in. There's some issues that happened there, and I couldn't go back to school because you have everybody in this school and things happen with the neighborhood, and they just want to either beat up or take out whoever they recognize. And I was up in the escalator one day, and I told my sister Rosa, I said, Rosa, I gotta leave. I said, what happened in the neighborhood was those group over there must have been about 20 of them. And I went out the back door and left. And what ended up happening, I don't know if you remember me saying that I worked for Hennigan's Wrecking. It was a subcontractor for them, right? So now I couldn't even live at home because what happened was in my own neighborhood, and there was two different gang members, you know, that, you know, there's always a sore loser, you know, they both fight, and if one of them gets beat up, somebody else takes it to another level. Yeah. And before you know it, it gets out of hand, and it gets to a point that they won't do anything to your parents, but they'll do it to whoever they felt was part of it. Right. And I didn't want to take that chance. So I went back to that wrecking company, to the guy because I knew he had a couple of apartments, and I ended up living in one of those apartments. I must have been like 13 years old. You're doing all this shit by yourself, as like fresh teenager. We're not talking about middle, you know, 16, 17. You're doing all this was pretty intense, but you know, I had to do what I had to do. So I went to my mom, and I went to my mom and I said, Mom, this is what happened, blah blah blah. I can't live here because it's gonna cause problems. I don't know what's gonna happen. So I had to leave, and where I was living at, it was on Montrose and Magnolia, right? And people can't just make this up and remember these names, you know, unless it didn't happen. So I lived at Montrose and Magnolia. It was like 2 blocks away from Wrigley Field. Holy, okay. That's a nice little view you got on a daily basis. And we used to live like, you know, even though it's Chicago, but when you take the buses, it was like 2 hours away from home for when my mom lived. Wow. And then, you know, so I did what I had to do. You know, I had my own little furnished apartment, and I worked under Antonino Rodriguez again.
You like that name?
Yeah, because I didn't know how to spell it. That's gonna be your stripper name. So that's my education. You know, that's why I never went to high school. So I don't know what a high school prom is or any activities. You know, now I'm dealing with old folks. You know what I mean? Older guys. You know, everybody was older than me. So to go visit my mom was another episode because I had to take 2 buses and a train to go to my mom's, and I couldn't go in the daytime because I had to sneak in through the back door to go visit her. Oh, because everybody stayed out front too? Yeah, because you never know. So I would get off the bus like 5 stops before her house, and I would go through the alleys and everything, go out the porch to go, because you didn't know because they told her that they were looking if we find your son, we're gonna take care of him. So on one of those visits to my mom's house, she started selling all her furniture. And I said, Mom, what are you doing? She said, nah, this is bullshit. We're selling everything. We're going back to New York.
I'm out of here too.
I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I was happy as a pig and shit, boy. You don't know, man.
Shit, I bet. Like, you know, who wants to live like that? That's not living. It's like being imprisoned in your own house.
Yeah, it was tough times, you know. But we made it happen, you know. And I made it happen. And I just took it with a grain of salt, you know.
Do you ever go back to Chicago?
I haven't been back since.
No.
Raul Jr. went up there for a couple of conventions, and I told him that I like to go with him one day because I used to. There was a couple of other episodes that happened in Chicago that I've learned about 11th and State.
The 11th and State?
No, 11th and State is 11th Street and State Street, right?
Okay. So it was like where they intersect.
Yeah, that's where the main that's one of the main courthouses is. 11th and State. So to get to 11th and State, what ended up happening, I was staying. Something happened with my mom, and she had to handle hers, and they put her in jail. They put her in jail, and there's only me and her, right? And of course. This was, I'm trying to remember if this was before the episode of the Roberto Clemente High School. I think it was before that. So I was much younger, mind you, right? And at that time, I used to shine shoes too, you know?
This guy's a hustler, man. He did everything.
So that was before that. So what ended up happening, I learned to take the Milwaukee bus and go to downtown because it was only 20 cents to get on the bus. You know, and I used to shine shoes for a quarter shine, you know.
So now you got your ride.
Now
Yeah,
so
now you got your ride.
So instead of going to the neighborhood, I went to downtown.
Yeah, getting away from these niggas.
Yeah, to try to make people to shine shoes for people that got it.
Yeah.
And most of these people walking around with their honeys, and they want to say no, but it's like, what do you mean telling that kid no? Go get your shoes shine.
He's on there. He's a hustler. He's a hustler.
Go for the ones that was walking with
their suits and the girlfriend. Yeah. You know,
get a little bit of the
so
pity.
Before you know it, now I used to charge them a quarter, and Lord forbid that they give me a quarter in front of their girlfriend. They give me $1.
You got money for weeks. I fuck with it.
Yeah, so you know, so that was definite before the Roberto Clemente times, you know, because I was shining shoes and I wasn't working for Henniken's Wrecking. I just like to make money, you know. So I would, you know, I didn't steal money, so I would make money. So now getting back to the Roberto Clemente when I had to go to school, and all of a sudden I had to stop going to school, right? So now I go visit my mom, and you know, at nighttime, of course, you know, and I'm sweating bullets by the time I get there because I'm running through the alleys, you know. And then she lived on the third floor, so I go up the porch on the third floor, and she's selling all her furniture, and she wants to come back to Allentown.
To New York.
To New York. She wants to go to New York, right? Oh yeah. So now she comes. Now we go back to New York, which is cool, you know. Which is nice. It's a big relief. The family's back together, and now we're back in New York. And remember, I don't know if you remember, I said about my brother Felix that they tricked him into going to New York City with a bicycle.
With the bikes.
So my brother Felix lived with my father, you know, and so I ended up staying with them. My mother stayed with my brother Manny. My brother Manny had a bunch of kids, a bunch of girls, and that was it. And I went back in New York, right? And before we could blink of an eye, my mom is MIA. She's missing in action, right? I have no idea where my mom's nobody knows where she's at. And she shows up about 2 weeks later.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
She just
apparently some of the other guys, she must have got a hold of the grown-ups, you know.
Okay.
Her brother died in Allentown. This was back in I forget, 1973 maybe, you know. That's when I came to Allentown.
Oh, you've been here for a long time, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she said, pack your shit up. And that shit was still packed up because I just got from Chicago.
Yeah. You didn't even take the stuff out the bags.
And we live in other people's house, so we got to go through our bags and find out what we're wearing, you know? She said, pack your shit up. We're going to Chicago. We're going to Allentown. And sure enough, we came to Allentown. We lived in Cumberland Gardens, right?
Ooh.
Cumberland Gardens was a brand new project back then. It was when I came to Allentown, everything was segregated.
What year is this?
In 73, 72, 73, around there, right? 73 because I was still in Chicago in 72.
Okay.
And the reason I know that is because that's when that movie, The Godfather, came out. And that came out in 72, and I remember seeing it. And of course, you know, you got to be 16 to see these movies, but
And
Yeah.
yeah,
No, yeah.
Antonino.
Yeah, Antonino.
Antonino can get it anywhere, bro. He's valid. That's hilarious.
These are cool stories,
Yeah.
you know, because I haven't said it in a long time, and I'm glad that we're talking about it now a little bit because I'm getting flashbacks. I'm getting flashbacks as we're talking about it, right? So now now my mom tells us we're going to Allentown. Allentown, what the fuck is Allentown?
Yeah.
Excuse my French. I don't know if I'm allowed
You're
to
allowed
curse
to
here.
curse.
So and by the way, I frickle frack a lot because of my grandkids and all that. You know that they're young men and women now too. Anyway, so I had no idea what was Allentown. So anyway, we got in the car. You know, I had two cousins that I never met before. They were new. You know. So we got in this car and we take a ride to Allentown. It took forever. There was no 78 at the time. It was all 22.
Oh damn!
You had to take the Pulaski Skyway to 19 South and 19 South to 22. 22 at the beginning. You had 20,000 lights that you had to go through. It just take us like 3 hours to get from New York.
Describing the drive from New
New
York.
York to Allentown. It took like 3 hours to get.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Because there is no 78.
No,
I
there was
can't
no 70.
imagine
Oh, it was a
doing that.
long ride. It's a long ride. And a lot of traffic lights, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of traffic lights.
Oh, that sounds like a horrible commute.
Yeah, I used to hate
You
it.
said something about how when you came to Allentown, it was segregated.
Yes, it was segregated. What ended up happening, the black people were on 6th Street and in the Acres.
Okay.
The Hispanic people were in Cumberland Gardens, on 2nd Street and Gordon Street. The rest was white people.
Okay.
All the rest was white people. As a matter of fact, I remember hitchhiking in Allentown. We used to hitchhike, you know, to get around.
Yeah.
And people pick you up. And you don't have to worry about people cutting your throat and robbing you, you know?
That sounds like a different time. Just standing out there
that-
like, hey, where you going?
Yeah, you stick
18th Street.
you stick out your thumb for 2 minutes. Somebody pulls over and gives you a ride.
That sounds.
You get from Allentown to Bethlehem. I got around that way.
Were white people picking you up and
As a
stuff
matter
like
of
that?
fact, that's how I did. Yeah,
Yeah?
they would pick me up. Yeah, that's how.
So what's the point of segregation then? If
Well,
The living situation.
yeah, the living situations like that, you know, and look at me, you know, I look like
yeah,
white. I look
you're
white.
fair skinned. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would get picked up with no problem. So talking about that hitchhiking, right? And always trying to better yourself, right? You know, of course, I didn't go to school anymore. I'm a dumb fuck, no education. So at that time, I was allowed to take a trade without my high school diploma. I was so blessed.
At least there was an opportunity.
I became an industrial sewing machine mechanic. And what made me do that?
Wait, what is that?
I used to fix industrial sewing
Okay.
machines because the Lehigh Valley was the garment capital of the world, I want to say.
Oh wow.
Factories everywhere. All those buildings that they turned into apartments now, they
Yeah.
were all factories, clothing, garment. People would sew.
Yeah, Hess was really big. I think
Yeah.
that was on Hamilton.
At Ninth and Hamilton, Hess was a department store.
Now it's the Allentown Brewer.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I didn't know any of that.
So now, you know, I take a trade, and what made me take that trade and get a little hungrier, right? I was working for I was a bundle boy for this laundry machine at this place. I can't remember the name of it actually.
Mm-hmm.
They were on 12th and Liberty, I want to say, or 12th and Allen.
Okay.
Right, there was big laundry. You know, I used to wash clothes and do linen for the I want to say the schools, but mainly for the hotels. You know, they would do the linen for the hotels, you know. And there was these huge roller steam machines that's how they are in the blankets. And mind you, I'm a bundle boy, right? So collecting the laundry from here to there, you know, and I would walk through the steam room. I must lose like 5 pounds because going through
Fucking
the steam room.
just sweating all
hot
day,
as hell,
yeah.
right? And
Come home sticky.
work my ass off, right? And come home and I could barely make ends meet, right? And my honey at the time, right? Her name was Raul's mom, Angie. Right? She was pregnant from Raulito at the time, right?
That every time I see Angie and I see you and y'all end up in the same room, I'm just like, I can't imagine a world where these two even liked each other like that.
How about it, right?
Yeah,
how about it, right?
It's like polar opposites. It's crazy.
So you know, you would work the whole week, and after you paid all your bills, you're lucky to have $5 left.
Wow.
So I would not pay this one bill just so I can have beer money, because you know I want to drink.
You still got to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and you know, and I was like 16 still at the time, 17. Let me see. Raul's mom got pregnant when I was 17, and he was born when I was 18.
Okay.
So, so I thought I was a man, but taking on responsibilities, so you figure he was born in 78, plus a year in the belly, 76, we're together, and now I'm taking on responsibilities and
make sure you're talking to the mic.
So we're taking on responsibilities and it just ain't happening. You're working your ass off, and it's okay that you have a job and you're making money, but it just don't go very far.
It's just not enough.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. Not for as hard as you're working either.
So, and then, Manpower was offering all kind of trades. They were offering auto mechanic, carpentry, and blah, 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 right? But I used to go to my friends, and I go shake their hand. I pull my hand back because he's an auto mechanic, and back then there was no gloves. And his hands, and I would say, man, your wife let you touch her with those hands?
Yeah, right.
I said, I don't even want to shake your hand. That shit look like, shit, I'm going to get some kind of disease if I shake your hand. So I didn't want my hands to look like that, so I didn't want to take the auto mechanic.
That was enough.
So there was always a lot of jobs for sewing machine, whether you want to sew and stuff to that nature. So I went to Manpower and I said, no, I want to become a sewing machine mechanic. And I was on a waiting list for like about 2 years, and I didn't know why at the time, but I do know why now, because they didn't have no instructors. Nobody wanted to teach.
Yeah.
So now I get the call. I'm working for Albright Metals and Sons, and they were right there on Front and Linden. Mm-hmm. It's a steel company, small steel company. We've been steel. That's where I learned how to weld a little bit, because during my lunchtime I would practice welding, burn my eyes and all that shit. Right. So I get the call, right? I get the call from Manpower. Hey, you're gonna start I started in November. I got the call to start in November. So it was a hard time to try to tell the boss, because it was a pretty good job, and because of my work ethics, I got away with a lot of stuff because I would do my assignment and I had time to do other stuff,
Yeah.
Stuff that used to take 2 days to do, I would do it in 1 day. So that I could have extra time so I can weld, practice the forklift, practice.
Just learning as much as you can.
Because it's my own time, it's not their time.
Yeah.
And they would allow it. So I had a hard time trying to tell her. So I'm telling them that, hey, I gotta leave because I got the call that I've been waiting for like 2 years to get, right?
Yeah.
So I told one of my coworkers, it was an older fellow. He said, yes, tell him. He said, you're gonna be all right. So he said, look, when I told the boss, he said, look, if it doesn't work out, just come back. So that's fine. So now I'm thinking about how am I gonna get to Easton, because the Easton Skill Center is where sewing machine mechanic was. I live in Allentown.
Okay.
There's no buses that go up there.
Yeah. Now you got to jump back on 22.
So I went over to my brother Manny. And because he had an extra car, so he let me use his Pinto. He had a Pinto that in the wintertime, you had to get there a half hour early, to turn it on, right? But it would turn on.
Yeah. Come on.
Finally, it would turn on,
Just got to jump in it and start.
So now I'm going to Easton, right? Everything's cool, right? He takes that car away from me 2 weeks later.
Ooh.
Because he gave it to my brother Angel. I said, where the hell are you giving him? Because Angel was a runaway. That's another story, right? And I didn't even recognize him when he came back. I'm going to fuck him up.
You better get your ass whooped.
Because he tried to get into my house.
Yeah,
everybody was hiding.
And you don't look like the last time I seen you.
And who are you? Yeah, I got to go in there. And I said, oh, yeah. We got a little equalizer that I kept by the door. I'll bring this boy down to size quick.
Knock him down a peg.
Yeah. So when that happened, they all jumped out and said, oh, it's your brother Angel. Angel who?
Yeah. I don't recognize this dude.
He ain't my fucking
He
brother.
word.
He ain't my fucking brother. He's not like what I remember him like in my head. Right? He ran away in 1969.
Wow.
How long was it before you had seen him then?
Bralito was born.
Okay, so we're talking about...
So I already had my
9 years?
I had my second apartment. My first apartment was furnished. So I used to live on, it was
9 years.
And it was,
That's a long time.
And it was my growing stages. And I already told you how my childhood was. There was no high school in it. So it was just doing things. So your mind, and and I remembered him the way when he left. So I had to ask my brother Felix. So he's I told him I was gonna take him to my Felix house, right? And I said, Felix, is that our brother?
No, you got to double check.
He said, yes, shit, man. He's a stranger to me.
Yeah. 9 years is a long time.
Yeah,
you disappeared for 9 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Stranger to me, right?
9 years, my son will be 18 years old.
So my brother Manny takes my car away from me that I'm trying to better something. I'm trying to better my life, right, and do this trade, right. He takes the car away from me in November. So I used to live on 2nd and Chu there, right. So now I gotta find a way how to get to Easton. I gotta be there by 9 o'clock in the morning. If not, you're late, right? 9 o'clock, something like that, 8:30, right? So now I would walk to Tillman Street, catch the bus from Tillman Street to Airport Road, and then I would walk to 22 and hitchhike.
Oh.
Now that's to go to school. Now I gotta get back home. So I would hitchhike. I did that the whole time. So
And you just kept meeting people that picked you up and brought you.
no, actually, I got to a point because I used to bundle myself real good, you know.
It's cold out here, yeah.
Cold as hell out there. And they would tell me, if you could be here by a certain time, he said, I'll pick you up. He says, don't come over here. Let's go over there at the entrance, and I'll pick you up at the entrance.
Oh, that's what's
You
up.
know, at the, you know, because there was an area that he's already booming. So instead of, I forget how he told me, because don't pick me up here, walk over here further, go further and get away from me there, you know.
Yeah.
Like
That's what's-
the bus stations that you walked a little bit, or you
No, I would walk all the way from
2nd and Chu? Or to school?
I would walk from 2nd and Choose, catch the bus to Airport Road and Union Boulevard.
Yeah.
Then I would walk to 22.
Okay.
And then from 22, I would hitchhike to Easton.
Okay.
Right? So I did that the whole time, you know, and as a matter of fact, I was going to get terminated because it got to the point that I was late too many times. Because I would get there at 9 o'clock soaking wet because it was raining, wet snow.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta figure out a way to get there. So shit happens.
So they had a meeting one more time I was gonna get terminated. I was gonna be kicked out, right? And I wanted to do this so bad because it's what I've been waiting for like 2 years. So they kept me they brought me into a conference room, the director and whoever the heck they were, you know, and they wanted to find out why I'm being late. So I told them why I was being late. I said, I ain't got no car. I'm hitchhiking over here. They said, what? You're hitchhiking, right? And my instructor, he was there. He was part of the crew, right? You know? So I'm telling him my story. He says, well, if you can't make it to school, what makes it so sure that you're going to make it to work? I said, look, I'm going to be working in Allentown. You got Phoenix Clothes. You got all these factories over there. I said, I can walk to these factories. I'm making it here, right? And I can make it over there. So they said, if you're late one more time, you're going to terminate you. The very next day, I was late, and when I went to go look for because we used to punch a card,
Yeah.
it was gone. And my instructor, he's doing all kind of shit. You know, back then I looked at him, he said, oh, get over here. He says, he punched my card in. I wasn't late. I was on time. I was on time. He punched my card in. He said, from now on, if you call me, and I'll send one of these guys to go get you, because a lot of the time, I would get a ride to 25th Street exit, and then I would have to walk all the way. And that's 25th in Northampton.
Yeah.
Or I had to go walk all the way to 7th in Northampton.
Yeah.
There was a castle there. There was a castle building. Right now they're doing other things with it, but that was the manpower center, the school center, right? So sure enough, and that's how I was able to keep my trade.
You met some good people along the way then.
Yeah,
some people that was really looking out, seeing the hunger.
I was blessed because they saw what I was trying to do, you know, and all I wanted to do was better myself. And I didn't have a high school diploma, nothing like that.
So I have a question. This all makes me want to ask. You brought it up earlier. So do you believe in the American dream? Because like today, like when you talk to people today, there a lot of people, many people are hopeless. You know, whether it's because inflation, whether it's because education isn't very good, whether because college is really expensive. But I mean, we're sitting here and we're listening to you talk about how every morning you had to get on the highway, walk a couple miles to the highway from Union, and then to hitchhike to and from places.
And now, mind you, this was a 6-month program, so I started in November and finished in May.
Yeah.
Finished in May.
You did only the cold, only the cold months. You know what I mean? So do you believe in the American dream? Because
well, what happens with the American dream, it's much different than what it used to be, because before it was easier to make it. Now you have so many liabilities, so many insurances you have to have.
You think it was easier for you then than it would be for somebody like myself now?
Well, it's difficult, yeah, because it's difficult now because you have to have so many insurances, you know, and years ago the money went further, you know. People didn't ask how much it's going to do it. They said, when can you get it done? Now everybody say, no, give me an estimate. How much is it? How much is it? They want 3 or 4 estimates.
Yeah.
Before, money was not a problem, and they say, well, when can you do it? not how much is it going to cost to do.
Yeah.
So it was easier to make that dream happen then than it is now. Now, again, this is my opinion because now you say, for instance, you want to charge X amount of dollars, right? You know, and to do an electrical job, right? You can't even touch that electrical job if you don't have, you can't even get a permit if you don't have liability, workman's comp, the umbrella insurance. They ask for like 3 insurance and
Just to start.
Just to start, you know, and these insurance are not cheap.
Fuck no.
No, now you still that's insurance gets to so you can get the job just so that you can fall into their criteria that now yes you can become a contractor they can call. Now you got to get a van, you got to get tools, you got to put gas in it, you got to get insurance for that. You got to get insurance for that van too as well. So now you got all this money going out and you don't even know what's going to come in because now you got to go look for it.
Yeah, you could fuck around and be fired from that job, you know, that you did all this preparation for.
Yeah, if they don't like your work and if you're not good at what you do, you know, you can get them once but not twice.
Yep, move them a little slow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think it's a little bit easier today than before. So
I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying it was a little easier then.
Yeah, for you.
Than it was.
Okay, so I said it backwards.
Than it is for people to do it now.
Okay.
Because back then you didn't need
as much to get things done. I mean, you were running around as...
To give you an idea, I bought my first car and I didn't have to buy insurance for it. I was allowed to buy a car without insurance. He was allowed to drive
insurance is a scam.
Automotive, yeah, it is. They don't want to pay it.
Insurance is a scam.
Is that right?
I hate it too because like in almost anything that you do, you have to have it. And that's why I think it's a scam. Like anything that you have to do, like where you're taking away my option, like wearing a seatbelt, I shouldn't be able to be pulled over for not protecting my own life. Like the only person this is going to affect is me being ejected through a window. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Your kids, I understand. Strap your fucking kids in.
Yeah, right. But it's not their fault. They don't know any better, but you know better.
But if I want to ride without a seatbelt, why? That's my business.
It's your prerogative. Yeah. Right,
if I want to go through this windshield, let me go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't want to go through the windshield.
I put my seatbelt on, but I want the option to wear my damn seatbelt. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want the option.
You know, that's where communism comes in. They said that this country is not communist. This country is
it's damn close.
Go put a goddamn pole outside your front house without a permit. They'll make you take that shit down.
Go dig a big hole in your backyard.
Yeah, without going through 108, whatever it is, 811.
I got one better. If you own your house, but you just stop paying your taxes, they'll take that shit from you.
They'll take it away from you. Yeah.
Straight like that.
So it's never your house.
It's never really yours. It's yours until you stop paying.
But yeah, you can't do what you want to do with it because you need a permit for that. Yeah. Oh, that wasn't there when you first bought it. Motherfucker, you guys are communists.
Yeah.
So basically, to kind of re-elaborate for him, like the American dream for me might be something completely different than like someone else. Your interpretation of it is being a business owner, being able to like establish something for yourself.
Yes. And you know, I was kind of like forced into the spot, right?
Forced into
working for myself,
right?
Because here, it all started when I was a sewing machine mechanic, right? Mm. When I was a sewing machine mechanic, it was the Jewish and the Italian, they ran that business. It was their business. It was a white man's world we lived in, right? And I know that all too well.
Quick question: was that out here? Was that in Chicago?
No, that was here now.
That was here now.
Yeah. I just got my diploma. I took a 900-hour course as to become a sewing machine mechanic.
900 hours.
Yeah, 900 hours. That's 6 months.
That's a decent amount of time.
And I still got that little diploma to prove it. I'm so
I
proud
learned how
of
to
it.
drive a truck for 80,000 pounds in a month. This is my man.
So now you're working, you know, in the garment industry, and my name is Gonzalez. It's not Smith. Mm-hmm. Oh,
it changed it a little bit.
Yeah, the cooperation was not there. I'm not supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be lifting stuff. You know, I'm supposed to work. I'm not supposed to be where I'm at. I'm not supposed to know what I know.
Right.
You know, I was treated like a stepchild for a long time. As a matter of fact, when I had my first job, right, I worked for Lehigh Valley Shirts. They used to be on 418 Franklin Street, right? That building burned down now. It's a big old parking lot.
You have a great memory.
So what ended up happening, I was the sewing machine. There was a head sewing machine mechanic there, right? Mm. And I was his helper.
Okay.
And I noticed that I was keeping the business running, you know, because he would not go out and fix the sewing machines. He would like flip them over and come back to it, and And he says, send the kid to go do it.
It sounds like a doctor-nurse relationship.
So I would have to go fix these machines, right? So I worked for him for like 2 years, and the last year it was like giving me ulcers. I couldn't take it no more. So I became pretty good at repairing sewing machines, and I didn't realize how good I was until he started hunting me down, looking for me.
Why you started taking his business?
What happened was I quit.
Okay.
No 2 weeks notice. They give you 2 weeks in vacation during the shutdown. You know? And for those 2 weeks, I would have to work the second week because they had steam boilers that have to get opened up every year for inspection, and that's how I learned how to repair boilers.
Okay.
Because I became part of a helper with the technicians that would repair these boilers.
My man, that's many trades.
So now it was my 2 weeks, 2 weeks vacation. I had already landed a job over in Nazareth with A1 Sewing Supply, right? And A1 Sewing Supply, his name was Sonny Greenberg. Listen to the name, Sonny Greenberg. Harris Weinstein, Jewish people. Jewish community, right? Mm-hmm. So Sonny Greenberg, he wanted me to have reference. And I said, I can't give you no reference. I only work for Murray Platt. For the Lehigh Valley Shed, I work nowhere else. He says, well, I don't know. I can't hire you. I said, look, here's what you do. Give me a couple of sewing machines. Let me repair them. If I can repair them, then you give me a shot. If I can't repair them, I'll walk out this door. Yeah. Sure enough, I fixed like 3 machines for him, and no charge.
Hey,
he got free labor.
labor.
So I fixed them up for him, and he says, okay, so he gave me a shot.
That's what's up. So you get to showcase your skills and
So and then through the grapevine, Murray Platt, that was the owner of Lehigh Valley Shirts. He's trying to flag me down because his production is slowing down, coming to a halt.
Because you were doing all the damn work. Yeah.
So finally, he's trying to call me. He's trying to get a hold of me. He called Jerome Lewis. They used to call him Jerry Lewis. He had A1 Sewing Supply. I worked for Nazareth Sewing Supply. And when I say sewing supply, they sell needles, hooks. The hooks is what catches the thread, so when you're sewing, right? And they sell anything that had to do with a sewing machine, from needles to rock arms, whatever it is, these two supply companies. So the one guy, he said, hey, I don't know what to tell him. He keeps calling me, have you seen Raul? I said, no, don't tell him I don't want to work over there no more. So one day, and I'm a young man, right? So I used to go out to the clubs a lot on Friday, Saturday, right? So Friday night I went to the club and I got home like around maybe 4 a.m, whatever it was, and my phone rang and it was Murray Platt. And he said, I said, hello, I was hungover kind of, He said, Murray. I said, Murray who? Fuck is Murray?
Who the fuck is Murray?
He said, Platt, don't hang up. I said, oh, Murray Platt. It finally dawned into me, and he says, no. He says, let me take you out for breakfast. So I said, all right, what's going on here? Takes me out for breakfast, right? This is a Jewish guy, right? Taking out Puerto Rican, right? To breakfast. And he takes me to the shop. This is on a Saturday morning. All these machines are off. He said, look, it's a fucking mess here. I said, look, George told, his name was George Edwards, the head sewing machine mechanic. I said, George kept talking shit about me. I would walk into the room and he's talking to you. That it's my fault. The kid's got to learn, blah, 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 blah. And I had enough, because who you gonna believe? You ain't gonna believe me. It's only obvious you was believing him. Yeah. So I fucking threw in the towel and I went somewhere else because I couldn't take it no more.
Yeah, I wanted to feel appreciated.
He says, what would it take for you to come back? I said, well, I like to make the money he's making, and you got to get rid of him because I'm not gonna work with him no more.
Yeah.
He said, no.
He did it? That's what you call leverage.
He did that shit.
That's what you call leverage.
And that same day, I fixed like about 3 or 4 machines for him while I was there. And he said, can you get this one going? Look, I need the buttonhole. There was a Reese buttonhole machine, right? One of the most complicated machines out there because it makes the buttonhole, and then the knife comes in and cuts it so that it don't cut the threads. You can't skip, because some of these machines, you got lock stitches and you got chain stitches. The chain stitch unravels. Lock stitch won't unravel, but it locks. So I fixed a couple of his machines. He was able to get some of the work out because his work was coming to a halt because the machines that you got to finish the garment. Yeah. You got to have the garments, got to have the cuffs, the sleeves, the arms. They got to close it. They got to hem it. And then they cut all the little threads. They look for anything that's bad before it goes.
You got nice with these machines.
Yeah, I got real nice with them. Yeah.
You got nice with these machines. You can tell. I'm sitting there, I'm like, holy shit.
So And that's where my electrical career came in too, by the way.
Oh, you know, it's so crazy. We didn't even get to the electrical. I wanted to ask about the transition. We're getting close to the time, but I wanted to ask about the transition. When at what point do you say, all right, we're done with the sewing stuff. We're moving over here, and why?
Well, what ended up happening that I saw the garment business was deteriorating. You know, there was a lot of it was moving overseas. And places was just closing down. They had none but sweatshops. And I lucked out that I landed a job with Majestic Athletic Wear as the head sewing machine mechanic there. And Majestic Athletic Wear, what was nice about them, that they sold licensed apparel. They made the practice uniforms at the time for the Philadelphia Phillies and all the other major leagues. Ooh. You know, and then later on in time, they made both the practice uniform and the game uniform. So that business is never going to go bad. So that's when I stayed in it, you know, and I stayed in it. But now, by me being the head mechanic, I got thrown into 3-phase, and I didn't even know what the hell I did. I'm going to give you an idea what happened. I made arrangements with my boss, Murray Platt. I don't know if you remember that name, Murray Platt.
Nah, I've never. I'm only 28.
So Murray Platt was the owner of Lehigh Valley Shirts, right? So he says, hey, I want you to work Saturday. We want to move these machines. I want to make the flow go better the way it should be. You know, the closer, the cuff setter, and so I can go out the door. So we start moving these machines. I start unplugging them, moving them over here, plugging back up. Oh, by the end of the day, 11 o'clock, we had everything moved. We was happy as can be. Come Monday, the ladies are screaming because the machines are running backwards. The machines are throwing the garment back out to them. He looked at me, he said, what the hell did you do? I said, I didn't do nothing.
All I did was move.
You was right here with me. I unplugged it and I plugged it back in. Here, nobody wanted to share with me that I reversed polarity on it. So several hours later, because remember, again, my name was Raul Gonzalez, not Raul Smith. So nobody wanted to share that with me. So finally, 3 or 4 hours later, nothing's going out. The workers get standing still because they can't get the work to go, and nobody's sharing this information. One of the guys that helped me out, he started laughing at me. I said, "Hey, this ain't funny. I'm ready to lose my job for this shit." Yeah. He said, "Just take 2 of the wires and reverse them," and it changed his rotation. So I got fascinated by it. So now by me being the head mechanic and the head plant maintenance, working on the boilers, nobody could tell me what to do. So I start working with feed rails and I start working with electrical. But I learned it backwards with 3-phase, and that made it a little hard for me to learn it the right way when I first took my first course of basic electricity, because here I'm working out with 480 volts, 308, 340, or 240, 208, 240, and 480, and now I'm going to work with 110 volts, and I can't even wire a 3-way switch. You know what I mean?
Explain to the people what a 3-way switch is.
A 3-way switch is when you can turn on and off a device from 2 locations. Okay. Even though it's 2 locations, it's still called 3-way switch.
So it's shit that you'll like typically see like in your bathroom or something like that.
Or your front entrance. You walk in the house, you turn the lights on. That when you walk into the living room, by the time you get to the kitchen, the top of the steps, you can turn it off from a different location. You know, and that's a 3-way. So I didn't even know how to do that, but here I am working with high voltage,
doing crazy stuff.
So now, you know, the garment industry is kind of like falling apart, and I worked for a good stable company, which is Majestic Athletic Wear. But now I want to take another trade. I want to become an electrician. So when I went to go take this course, you know, they gave me the basic test and so forth. And when I was ready to go to the next phase, they said, "Well, what's your high school diploma?" I said, "What's that?" I don't have a high school diploma. He said, "Oh, well, you need it." I said, "Well, I didn't need it 4 years ago when I took the sewing machine." He said, "Oh, yeah, but you need it now." It took me forever to get my high school diploma. That's when I found out that I was like on a 3rd grade reading level and a 2nd grade math level. Wow. All I knew how to do was do subtraction, adding, and multiplications. A little bit of division, but fractions, what was that? What was that? Quarter? What's quarter? All right, 25 cents. Yeah, I know that. But quarter inch and turning it into decimal, I had nothing about that shit.
So you're like learning as an adult, man.
I was dumb as shit. I was dumb as shit when it came to the books, you know.
It ain't your fault though. I don't think. At least I don't think so. Like
I
you know what I mean?
I didn't have no high school.
Yeah,
and that's where algebra and
that's where you put all that stuff together.
Yeah. You know, it's a phase. I figured out in order to learn algebra, you need to learn math. You need to learn arithmetic, subtraction, multiplication, division, because you need those to be able to bring that triangle down, upside down triangle we call it, so that you can come up with the equation of the algebra.
Mm-hmm.
So
I still didn't like when I got to high school. I was kind of over math.
So yeah, it took me a long time to get my GED because you know, now I'm a family man. I work full time. I still do my hustle on the side because now I walk around my little briefcase to go to these sweatshops and fix sewing machines because, you know, I didn't want to turn away that money. And as I said before, I started backwards. I didn't get my education first, and I made kids first. Mm-hmm. Didn't get my education. I had no stability. And now that I'm getting a little bit stable, that now I got a good income coming in, and I want to better my life, and now I got to make time to go to school to get my GED because I want to become an electrician.
Whole new chapter
frickle
now.
frack. Yeah, I go with my
chapter. Yeah. So listen, we're at the time. I told you the time goes fast.
Yeah.
But listen, the story is incredible. I do want you to leave the people with some last words. So, you know, give them some wisdom.
Well, you can never give up in life. You know, if you have something set up and you want to do something with yourself, don't let nobody tell you can't do it, because you can do it. Sometimes in this time and era, it's going to take several steps, because if you don't have your GED or your high school diploma, now you know you need to get it in order to go to a trade school or to better yourself, because it's the way I look at the GED or your diploma is a ticket. Without that ticket, you can't go to college. You can't further yourself. So you need that ticket to further yourself, because if not, they won't accept you. So you need that ticket so they can take that ticket and let you in that door. Mm-hmm. So you can do anything you want, but you have to put your mind to it, and it's not going to be easy, so you got to sacrifice yourself. You got to make sacrifices. And if you're married and you already have a family, your wife and your husband, they both need to understand that you got to make sacrifices in life, you know, and you're not going to be there the way you was before, because now you got to go to school and you got to study, because when you go to school, they show you a certain percentage of it. By the time you get home, you either got to try to remember it, or you got to start all over again.
Yeah.
So you got to practice what they taught you in school, so you can make it happen. And we're in America, you know, and you can do anything you want, but you have to apply yourself, you know, and you only get out of life what you put into it.
That's a fact.
That's the bottom line. So.
You only get out of it what you put into it.
You know, I shared a little bit of my story, and there's a lot more stories where that came from. You know,
we might have to get you up here again, because we're missing a huge chapter.
And what's nice about this story, that you could ask me at any time. You could ask me any questions about this story, and because it happened, I lived it. I don't have to look for it. I don't have to look for the answer in the book. The answers are in my head.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. I appreciate you coming up here.
It was nice being here. It's been a pleasure, you know?
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
I know it probably felt good, too, to talk about these things, because it's been a while.
And not many people know what I went through in life, you know? You know, and I'm not saying that, you know, that everybody goes through that, but there was some learning experiences, and there was a lot of racism growing up. And that's why I started my own business, because here now I got 2 licenses. I have all this experience in my head, and now I keep getting laid off because my name is not Smith. You know, so what do?
Go out and create Raul's maintenance.
I said frickle frack that all. I do work for the C-Town, Little Apple, you know, all my neighbors, you know, and now I'm an electrician and HVAC tech. You know, if you need air conditioning installed or replacement or repaired,
shout it out.
You just call up Raul's Maintenance, LLC, and my number is 610-504-0111. And my work speaks for itself. I'm not here to scam anybody or to pull the wool over your eye. I'm here to make it happen and educate you on what's going on at home, whether with the electrical or the HVAC. You know, and then when you hear other people, you find out if they're telling you the same thing I'm telling you.
Yeah. And I can vouch for it, too. He did my HVAC units last summer.
Oh, he had to tear that all apart.
Yeah. He's like, fuck, next time we're just getting a new one. And I was like, all right, sounds like a plan, I guess.
Yeah, we tore that shit up. Frickle frack, man.
Hey, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you follow the show. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube at Dope Individuals Only Podcast. Make sure you follow on Instagram and TikTok at Dope Individuals Pod. And thank you guys for staying tuned. Stay up to date with us. Feel free to message us and get connected with my man over here if you guys need any electrical or HVAC help. Thank you guys again for watching. Shoot for the moon.
I'd like to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
Listen, on the electrical field, it's not only residential. We do commercials. To give you an idea, the supermarket over on the 5 Points in Bethlehem, we did that. We did all of the electric, and we also did the rooftop units and the mini splits in there. Walk in there and see how it came out.
Yeah.
You can see how it worked for itself.
See for yourself. Hey,
it was a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure having you. Thank you. Hey, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you're still amongst the stars. Peace.
Right.
Drove on the road that normal people don't take. Full of surprises, there may be no escape. I'm not afraid of the challenges. Just check all the calluses. That's from pulling and grappling. Gotta eat, I've been scavenging. I can never starve, I'm nothing like you. There's way too much money to be made for me to spite you. I hope all of my brothers doing good and make the right moves. You chasing dreams, I'm trying to close the distance like a fight move. The media despise you, I learned that. People fuck with you based on convenience. When you no longer accommodate to their wishes.